Some of you might remember the recent story of my Arrma Notorious going for a swim. And while I believe the main reason why this truck ended up underwater was just the run up in the ramps, one major issue I had throughout that video was the diffs in this truck. You could hear the clicking, and although I checked them and believed they were fine, it's pretty obvious that they aren't fine. So I picked up a set of diff gears for the front and rear. We're gonna go ahead and replace those today, as well as go through some of these bearings and oil them up. You can already see there's a little surface rust forming because this truck has sat for a little over a week since being submerged in the water. We're gonna start with the rear diff because I believe that's the one that has the most issues. You saw those ballooning front tires in that last little clip lead me to believe that the rear isn't getting the power that it should. So we're gonna start with that one, bust it open and see what we can find. Before even pulling the diff itself out, I can see all of those little metal shavings. See those things that look like flakes inside of there? Yeah, I didn't paint anything inside the diff. The ring gear itself looks fine, so I'm assuming the pinion gear is completely shredded. Let's pull this out and see. That took a little more than I thought it would, but it's probably a good thing. Looking at our ring and pinion now, you can see there's actually wear on both gears. This was definitely slipping. That pinion gear is pretty shot. To give you a better idea, here's a side-by-side with the new gear. You can see how sharp those teeth are. And then look at the old one that I just took out. All rounded off. Not sure if my mesh wasn't right or if it just failed over time, but this thing definitely belongs in the trash. All of this really needs to be cleaned up though. You can see all of the dirt, mud, metal shavings and all of that under the diff, in the diff. So I'm gonna take some time to clean this stuff up. Clean up the diff before we end up changing out the gears on it. Then we can go ahead and swap out those gears. Houston, we have a problem. Although the packaging on these gears and the description online strictly stated this was for the Arrma Notorious, you can see our input shaft here does not fit. This thing is extremely loose. For reference, here's the original gear. Tight tolerance fit. I actually had to beat it out of there. This is entirely too loose. This is not the right gears. I thought this was just an upgraded one, but this isn't right. So here's the dilemma. I have another set of gears on the way. They are supposed to be here tomorrow. Today is Thursday. You know I normally upload on Sunday, which means if those gears come in tomorrow, I have tomorrow and Saturday to finish wrapping up this video, get this truck all back together and edited for you to see on Sunday. Are we up for the challenge? Well, let's see. Normally, I would have finished wrapping up this rear diff first before moving on to the front, but with this situation now, I believe the best thing for me to do is gonna be to go ahead and get the front cleaned up, get everything ready to go. That way, when those new gears come in tomorrow, I can go ahead and just slap those in, button this thing up, and try it out to finish up this video. A nice little surprise for myself. I forgot that I actually changed this front diff gear already. You can see this is a spiral cut gear from Hot Racing. I really wish I had another set of these to put in the rear, but can't get those quick enough. So I'm gonna leave this one in the front for now. Been going through and cleaning up the front, re-greasing up those bearings. We'll get that one back in, and seeing the condition of some of these bearings in the front, I believe I'm gonna go through and check the bearings on the center diff as well, and some of the steering. We'll be waiting for those new gears to come in tomorrow for the rear. All right, front's all back together and we got the correct gears this time. So let's go ahead and throw that in the rear diff. Looks like it came with a new gasket and all, so slap that in there and go test this thing out probably first thing in the morning. It's getting pretty late now, so don't think you'll be able to see too much tonight. And fingers crossed that'll be the last of the clicking we hear out of this thing. And now for the fun part. These tires obviously got filled with water. The wheels are vented in the back, so foams are full of water. I spent a couple of days leaving them outside and squeezing them to try to get as much water out as possible, but they're still pretty waterlogged. I popped a couple of small holes with a needle in the outside of the tire, and you're gonna see in a second when we try this thing out that basically we're gonna have water everywhere. Hopefully, anyway. As the tire starts spinning, that water should travel to the outside of the foam and then leak out of those little holes that I put in. Well, needless to say, I believe that fixed the problem. Could see pretty easy wheelie on demand, truck flipping over on its own. I think we got full power to that rear diff again. I made one pretty big mistake though in this whole process. As you saw in the clips from the video before, the truck actually did work after being submerged for a good 5 minutes underwater. Although that rear diff was blown, I was still able to drive the truck around. But after leaving the truck sit for a little over a week, there ended up being a little water inside of the receiver box, and I believe this Futaba receiver is shot. I wasn't able to get the truck to move at all with the normal transmitter that I use for it. Just for today, I swapped in one of the Fly Sky transmitters I had to use the FS GT3C that I have just to try it out. I'm gonna leave this receiver disassembled and taken apart for a bit, see if it'll dry out and still work. I don't see any shorts or anything on the circuit board, so maybe giving it a little time to dry might fix it. If not, I'll just have to pick up another receiver, but I guess we'll see how long those gears last now. I do have another set that I ordered for the front, but I'm not taking those spiral cut gears out. If these fail, I'll use that other set, and if they fail really quickly, I'll just pick up another set of spiral cuts because these seem to work really well. There's one other issue I'm seeming to have with this truck. Not sure if you caught it in the end of the running footage there. This front drive shaft keeps popping out. Not sure if you can see it there. The cup is a little worn, but I don't believe that's why it keeps popping out. I'm just not quite sure what's going on. Maybe I do need to replace the cup. Let me know down in the comments if you have one of these trucks and ran into a similar problem. I'm curious what could be a good fix for this. But after that very long adventure and a whole lot of tear down and cleaning, we finally got the truck back working and pretty fresh. Make sure to leave a like if you guys enjoy these wrenching videos. They're fun to make. I've always said, if you followed the channel for a while, that wrenching is one of my favorite parts of RC. I just like building, working on things. The driving's a blast, but I just always enjoyed getting my hands dirty and building. As always, make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, and thanks again for watching. Peace.